Despite Tom Brady and the Buccaneers starting out 2-0, Tampa initially were slight underdogs against the Rams, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. That has since greatly changed as the line swung all the way to the Bucs being favored by 2.5 points, but now has settled at 1.5 points in LA this weekend. So, Shannon, we know you already like the Rams this week. So how much does this scare you, the change here?
It doesn't scare me at all because that doesn't mean anything to me, Skip. You still have to play the ball game. You understand that. This is for Vegas. These are for the bettors. So since I'm not a betting, I just bet you do, which I'm going to win this week.
Well, that would be an upset.
Well, it just might be. But look, I'm not surprised because people are going to bet on Brady and the Bucs, just like people bet on the Cowboys. Unfortunately, like when they bet on Brady, they win. Bet on your team, they lose. But with that being said, Skip, the Bucs offense has looked really good. But for whatever reason, the defense hasn't looked the same. They have the third worst pass defense in all of football, giving up 342 pass yards per game. That's not good. And so, Skip, I know the conventional wisdom is, and everybody says, oh, they're going to be so much better. But you're under the premise while you're getting better, nobody else is going to get better. Oh, all you heard is about, oh, Tom Brady, the offense is going to look so much better. That defense is going to be so much better. Other teams get to practice and get better also. But having been around a historically great defense, Skip, and I was, the 2000 Ravens, you saw it live up close in person. I got an opportunity to see it every day in practice against it. They weren't the same when they came back in 2001, Skip.
Yep.
You look at the 02 Bucs. They weren't the same when they came back in 03, Skip.
No.
You look at the Broncos, and for the most part, they brought a lot of those pieces back in 15 to 16.
You have made the point, though, the 85 Bears were.
The 85 Bears were better than but that's the anomaly, Skip.
It was.
For the most part, you take a step back.
Yep.
The offense has looked sensational. My only question is that defense, and that was a little concern of yours last year until they kicked it into high gear. When they got like the last 6 or 7 games heading into the playoffs, they were phenomenal. They took the ball away. When teams got into the red zone, they held them out. They don't seem to be. They're not playing it with the same ferocity for whatever the case may be. But for me, Skip, it hasn't changed my view of what I think is going to happen in this ball game. This is the reason they shipped Jared Goff and those first-round picks, along with Michael Brockers, to Detroit to get Matthew Stafford.
They did. Sean
McVay believes now his entire playbook is at his disposal. There's not a blade of grass on the field that he has to coach against. He can call a play and knowing that guy can throw the ball there. He's great outside the pocket. He can change platforms and throw the ball from different arm slots, Skip. He's good. He said that he wanted to play in big games. This is the first of many what he hopes and Rams fans hope will be to come.
Okay.
So he gets an opportunity to test this thing out early on against that guy on the left,
that
Tom Brady. And so I like it. And Aaron Donald going to eat.
Is he? What
What
you got, 3 sacks maybe?
Just 2 in a rough up.
Really? 2 in a rough up. I'll take 2 cases that he won't have 2 sacks.
Nope.
Got you again.
They're going to have 2 sacks. Or I bet you they have 2 sacks as a team.
They well might have because that's just who they are and what they do.
They get as a quarterback.
Okay, my turn, and I'm about to tell you why you're going to be wrong and why I like the Buccaneers Sunday at Rams. I'm not going to go to love them, but I do like them.
You give me the 1.5?
We'll get to that on Friday.
Okay.
But here's the point. The point is that back on November 23rd at Tampa on Monday Night Football, the Rams had their way with this Buccaneers defense that's pretty much the same as it was a year ago. The personnel's all pretty much the same, right?
Yep.
They just about ran them off their own field. The final score was closer than the game felt to me. It was 27-24. But Jared Goff, of all quarterbacks.
376, didn't he?
376 and 3 tubs and 1 pick, but he had a QBR of 80, which is very high, scale of 0 to 100. 80. Brady had a long, tough night against that defense, 26 of 48 for 216, 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks, and a QBR of 49, which is a tick below average, which is 50. So that was not Brady-esque that night because the Rams defense did a number on him. The point is that from that night, they were in the midst of losing 3 out of 4 games because they had just lost at home on a Sunday night to New Orleans 38-3. And you came in and threw a party in here the next day on Monday morning. Am I right?
Yeah, I did.
You said that is the Wicked Witch is dead. Long live the Wicked Witch. Ding dong. Isn't that what you said? He's done. He's dead. He's over. He's defunct. He's kaput. And then they turn right around and lose at home to Jared Goff, who just has their way. The yards in that game were 413 for Sean McVay and 251 for Brady. 413 to 251. And you're saying, well, that was a mismatch almost equivalent to the Saints game.
Right.
And then here comes my homeboy on the road, and the game felt like it was over after a quarter.
Yep.
What did Tyreek have in the first quarter? I can't even remember the numbers. They were like ridiculous numbers. But here came Brady, and he sort of slowly but surely scratched and clawed his way back into that game, and they lost that 27-24. Here's where you're in trouble. Then came a bye week in which everything changed. A high-placed Tampa Bay sources even told me in the last couple of weeks that they felt like Tom took over the offense in the bye week.
Yeah.
As you've pointed out, I need some motion. I need some screen passes, which Bruce Arians not a screener.
Right.
And I need a little more control at the line of scrimmage. I need to call some audibles.
Right.
So some check with me's, and all of a sudden that offense started to look a little bit more like New England-esque. As I said, Tampa Bay, it's the Patriot way in Tampa Bay, and he started to instill and inspire the Patriot way on offense, which it got to be a little more dink and dunk as they took off.
Right.
What has happened since that bye week?
Oh, they look really good.
Well, they've looked good because they've won 10 straight games. They are 10-0 since that bye week, including 4 playoff wins and then 2 this year. So now they go back to get a little revenge against the Rams. So you say defensively, have they played with that furor and terror that they instilled last year in the playoffs? They have not.
Right.
So my Cowboys were able to score 29 on them. I think my Cowboy offense is pretty explosive.
Right.
And yet, all of a sudden, Matt Ryan threw them back. The Falcons got back in the game. Remember, they cut it to 28-25.
Yes.
And then a classic strategic move was made by one Todd Bowles, who I still think is the best defensive coordinator in football. What did he do in the fourth quarter of that game that went little noticed? He put Mike Edwards, his backup safety, who had started the opener against Dallas because Whitehead was out. Whitehead came back, and all of a sudden he said, Mike Edwards is such a good player, I'm going to put him in as my nickel back in place of Sean Murphy-Bunting, who's gone for about, half the year probably with a dislocated elbow, which you said you did.
I missed a month.
Missed a month. So I don't know. But Sean Murphy-Bunting has been so good in training camp that he replaced Jamel Dean in the starting lineup at corner, but he's definitely the nickel corner.
Right.
So Jamel Dean's back, and he could be a weak link because McVay's going to go after him, and Matt Stafford's going to go after him. Mike Edwards all of a sudden gets thrown into the game in the fourth quarter against Matt Ryan, once upon a time MVP of this league. And what happened? What did Mike Edwards do in the fourth quarter as the nickel back?
Pick 16 both times.
There's the first one. That'll work. That looked pretty good to me. And he can move for a safety. And then the other one, he just happened to be in the right place at the very right time, and he's off to the races again. That's 2 pick sixes in the fourth quarter, which is, as you know, very, very rare. Okay? So I think you're going to see a whole lot of Mike Edwards playing 80% of the snaps.
Well, I hope he's playing Cooper Kupp. Because right now, Cooper
Kupp is unstoppable.
Because, Skip, you remember last year on that Monday night game where he was just those.
He had 11 for 145 in that game. We're talking about a third-round pick out of Eastern Washington. Grew up in Yakima, Washington. Really?
Yeah.
And Matt Stafford is loving him even more than Jared Goff loved him.
Yes.
Because he is killing
Robert Woods, and they still haven't.
By the way, Robert Woods in the Monday night last year had 12 for 130. They just destroyed that secondary.
And the thing, because a lot of this stuff is quick, Skip, so that's why it works, because they don't give you an opportunity, Skip, to bring pressure, because they're not looking to throw the ball down the field. They're looking to get the ball in Robert Woods' hand and let them do damage after the catch.
Okay.
Now, let's see if he can get D-Jack involved. D-Jack hadn't had the explosive plays that we know he's capable of. Because, Skip, he can still run.
I agree.
He can still run.
Very dangerous. And he can catch it over his head.
Yes.
He's one of the best finders of the deep ball I've ever seen, as far as running under it and catching it over his head.
And you know, there ain't no love lost between J. Ram and Mike Evans.
Nope. I agree. We got some bad blood here.
Yeah.
We got Brady wanting a little revenge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Over
Matthew
that
Stafford
Rams
said, I want big
defense.
games.
Yeah.
They brought me here to play in big games. This is a big game.
Okay, so I've told you from the start, I've predicted that Tom Brady has his eye on doing something never done before, 20-0. That's what, and this is going to be the toughest test on the schedule.
It's over.
It's over?
Yep.
Okay, and then they go to Foxborough.
Yeah.
And that's really over. So you have bet me 10 cases to 4 cases that they will win both of these games, that my team will lose both of these games, or at least my quarterback will lose both of these games. So I'm going to remind you that you have now bet against Tom Brady once again, and you're betting for a Matthew Stafford who has never been on this stage with this kind of magnitude. So is he that guy? Was he ever that guy in Detroit where he went 0-3 in playoff games? Has he ever known this kind of focus and pressure? I got the arm. In fact, Bruce Arians said fairly recently that one's Matthew Stafford because he can flat spin it.
He can.
He's
can throw it.
He's got the kind of arm. He's got Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers' arm. And can throw it anyway. And now McVay's got him doing the bootlegs where they do that deep arc rollout where you're just running as fast as you can. Then you stop and you plant and you arm talent all the way back across the field.
I've seen that a couple times before.
Have you?
That just
Despite Tom Brady and the Buccaneers starting out 2-0.
So
So I'm going to bet against Matt Stafford.
So do it.